Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first day, Sunday of October 2021, right here in the state of Kuwait. This is KTV2 and 7 o'clock news. That means only one thing, that Miss Lulwa, she doesn't like to be called Her Majesty, has the headlines for the 7 o'clock news.
Thank you, Ahmed.
Pleasure.
His Highness the Emir congratulates His Highness the Emir of Qatar on the success of the first legislative elections of the Shura Council. The Foreign Minister and Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs holds official talks with the Libyan Foreign Minister on her official visit to the country. And the Ministry of Education inaugurates Safe Education project to safeguard students from the coronavirus in collaboration with the Ministries of Interior and Health.
His Highness the Emir Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of condolences to His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq of the Sultanate of Oman, expressing sincere sympathies over the victims of Shaheen hurricane that swept through several cities, killing and injuring scores of people. In the cable, His Highness the Emir prayed to Allah Almighty to bestow mercy upon the victims' souls and bless the injured with a swift recovery. His Highness the Deputy Emir and the Crown Prince Sheikh Mishal Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of condolences to His Majesty Sultan Haytham bin Tariq of the Sultanate of Oman, expressing sincere sympathies over the victims of Shaheen hurricane that swept through several cities, killing and injuring scores of people. His Highness Sheikh Sabah Al Khalid Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister, sent a similar cable of condolences.
His Highness the Emir Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Highness the Emir of the State of Qatar Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani on the success of the first legislative elections of the Shura Council. His Highness the Emir praised the large turnout of voters that depicted the patriotism of the Qatari people, praying to Allah Almighty to bless His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani with everlasting health and the Qatari people with further progress and prosperity.
His Highness the Emir Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the President of Korea, Moon Jae-in, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness the Deputy Emir and the Crown Prince Sheikh Mishal Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah sent a cable of congratulations to His Excellency the President of Korea, Moon Jae-in, on the occasion of his country's National Day. His Highness Sheikh Sabah Al Khalid Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister, sent also a similar cable of congratulations.
His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince Sheikh Mishal Al Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah received this morning at Bayan Palace the National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ali Al Ghanem. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince then received His Highness Sheikh Sabah Al Khalid Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister. His Highness the Deputy Emir and Crown Prince also received the Foreign Minister and Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs Sheikh Ahmed Nasser Mohammed Al Sabah, along with the Libyan Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Najla Mohammed Al Mangoush, and her accompanying delegation on the occasion of her official visit to the country. The meeting was attended by the Minister of Emiri Diwan Affairs, Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah Mubarak Al Sabah, the Under-Secretary of the Emiri Diwan and Director of His Highness the Emir's Office, Ambassador Ahmed Fahd Al Fahd, the Director of His Highness the Crown Prince's Office, Retired Lieutenant General Jamal Mohammed Ziab, Kuwait's Ambassador to Libya, Mubarak Abdullah Al Udwani, and the Assistant Foreign Minister for Arab World Affairs, Nasser Sanhat Al Qahtani.
His Highness the Deputy Emir and the Crown Prince Sheikh Mishal Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah made a telephone call to His Highness the Emir of the State of Qatar, Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani, during which he conveyed the greetings of His Highness the Emir Sheikh Nawaf Ahmed Al Jaber Al Sabah to His Highness the Qatari Emir and congratulated His Highness on the success of the first legislative elections of Shura Council. His Highness the Deputy Emir and the Crown Prince commended the democratic atmosphere that prevailed the elections and hailed the large turnout of the voters that depicted the patriotism of Qatari people, praying to Allah Almighty to bless His Highness Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani with everlasting health and the Qatari people with further progress and prosperity. His Highness the Emir of Qatar expressed gratitude and appreciation to His Highness the Emir and His Highness the Deputy Emir and the Crown Prince for their generous initiative that embodies the solid bilateral relations between both countries and peoples, wishing His Highness the Emir and His Highness the Deputy Emir and the Crown Prince good health and the Kuwaiti people more development and growth under the wise leadership of His Highness the Emir.
The National Assembly Speaker Marzouk Ail Ghanem received today the Libyan Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Najla Mohammed Al Mangoush, and her accompanying delegation on the occasion of her official visit to the country. During the meeting, both sides discussed issues of common concern and the latest regional and international developments. The meeting was attended by Kuwait's ambassador to Libya, Mbarak Abdullah Al Udwani, and the ambassador of Libya to Kuwait, Sulaiman Al Sahili.
His Highness Sheikh Sabah Al Khalid Al Hamad Al Sabah, the Prime Minister, received today at Bayan Palace in the presence of the Foreign Minister and Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs, Sheikh Dr. Ahmed Nasser Mohammed Al Sabah, the Libyan Minister of the Foreign Affairs and the International Cooperation, Dr. Najla Mohammed Al Mangoush, and her accompanying delegation on the occasion of her official visit to the state of Kuwait. The meeting was attended by the head of His Highness the Prime Minister's Diwan, Abdul Aziz Dakhil al-Dakhil, Kuwait's ambassador to Libya, Mbarak Abdullah al-Adwani, and the Assistant Foreign Minister for the Arab World Affairs, Nasser Sanhat al-Gahtani.
The Foreign Minister and Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs, Dr. Ahmed Nasser Mohammed Al Sabah, held official talks with the Libyan Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Dr. Najla Mohammed Al Mangoush, on the occasion of her official visit to the country. During the meeting, both sides discussed the solid bilateral relations linking the two countries and tackled means of boosting them in all domains, especially in the investment, economic and commercial fields. The ministers underlined the importance of maintaining the positive momentum created by mutual high-ranking visits made this year and stressed the necessity to activate the Kuwaiti-Libyan Joint Committee. The Foreign Minister and Minister of State for Cabinet Affairs affirmed Kuwait's keenness on helping Libya to complete its transitional phase and hold general elections on December 24, 2021. The Libyan official praised Kuwait's efforts in supporting Libya and the region. Dr. Al Mangoush praised the great efforts exerted by Kuwait in preserving security and stability in Libya and the region.
Schools reopened again.
Yeah.
In the line of intense health regulations set to control the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic, hundreds of schools across the governorate of the state of Kuwait reopened in person in classes.
That's
I don't
true.
think they like that.
This morning, the governmental and Arabic private schools welcomed thousands of students of various stages, marking the start of the academic year 2021-2022. Asim Salama has the story.
Amid tight safety measures and precautions, the government and Arabic private schools across Kuwait started the academic year 2021-2022 today by welcoming students of various stages. According to the Assistant Secretary of the Ministry of Education, Dr. Abdul Muhsin Al-Huwaila, the ministry made all necessary arrangements to ensure the high quality and smoothness of the educational process in the new academic year upon the directives of Minister of Education, Dr. Ali Al-Mudaf. The official affirmed that the ministry spares no efforts in creating the proper environment for an organized educational process by providing strategy that covers all the administrative, technical, and operational aspects. All schools, including the kindergartens and universities, were closed since March 12, 2020 due to the growing concern of the spread of COVID-19. However, after about a 7-month halt, all public schools began the 2020-2021 academic year online, while private schools continued with the e-learning method. But now hundreds of schools across the governorates of Kuwait reopened for the in-person classes in line with health regulations aimed at protecting them from the coronavirus pandemic.
In collaboration with the Ministries of Interior and Health, the Ministry of Education inaugurated the Safe Education Project that aims at safeguarding students from the coronavirus.
Following 19 months of hiatus due to the COVID-19 outbreak, all students returned to school today to start the new academic year 2021-2022 amid strict health precautions. More details in the following report.
With so many students across Kuwait returning to in-person classes today, schools have considered new study plans and safety tips to be followed.
We are very excited to start the new school year. We will do our best to make sure that the school is safe for our girls.
Safety has been our top priority ever since we started planning going back to school. So we've assembled many committees to make sure that when students are here, it is a very safe environment for them. As you may have seen, starting from coming inside the school, you'll see there are different walking paths for students, so that, like, for example, grade 1 students, they walk on a certain path that is not with like grade 2 or grade 3, so they're only associate with their own group, starting from entering the school all the way to the classroom, as well as maintaining social distancing inside the classroom, and making sure everybody has their face masks. We have the sanitizers everywhere in the school. Not to mention we're using the latest tools that we can use. We have thermometers, and we have sensor sinks and stuff. So we are making sure that it is a very safe environment for students.
I'm very excited, and I'm happy that I'm going to see my friends. I prefer to go to school because we're going to learn more. I'm going to see my friends, so that's why also school is better. I want to tell all my friends that always keep your mask on and always sanitize your hands.
COVID-19 has changed the way we do so many things in our lives, and our children returning to schools will be no exception. From Ain Jalut School, this is Farah Shimri reporting for Kuwait English News.
For 6 months, Kuwait will participate in Dubai Expo 2020 with a pavilion displayed in the sustainability district of the event.
Kuwaiti Pavilion showcases the rich heritage of our past and our future plans, highlighting the new Kuwait 2035 vision for sustainable development. Our correspondent in Dubai, Laith El Ibrahim, brings us more.
The Kuwaiti Pavilion at the 2020 Dubai Expo opened its doors to the eager visitors and showcased the rich heritage, elegance, as well as the kind hospitality of their people throughout the duration of this event.
I thought it was very informative. I have not been to Kuwait, and I wanted to see a little bit about what it was like.
When I passed by outside, I saw that the design is very unique, and especially when I entered, I find it fascinating, especially this design. It's so magnificent.
The content put forth in the Kuwaiti participation in this event highlighted the slogan New Kuwait, an opportunity for sustainability.
So Kuwait is talking about the tradition, the values, the culture, right? Others are more commercial, but whereas Kuwaiti is talking about the heritage, how this whole thing has started, and talking about the achievement, and very calm, very smooth. So that is something very peaceful, away from the commercial nature, and I really enjoyed this. It's very serene and very peaceful to be here in this pavilion.
Kuwait Pavilion is great, is really impressive, and is, I think, more in the future can be said. And it's very important that your theme is water, because water is a very important thing in the future for all people.
Well, I love Kuwait, and I love it because it's very peaceful, it's calm, and it's full of nature. First thing I looked was the environment, which was very peaceful. I could see the natural life, which was amazing. and it was really calm and beautiful overall.
As well as being located in the Sustainability District, the pavilion showcased what Kuwait has to offer in terms of products and exceptional concepts in accordance with their vision for 2035. The Kuwaiti pavilion truly captured its history as well as gave us a glimpse towards their future plans with the Vision 2035. For Kuwait TV, Layth Ibrahim, Dubai.
Well, folks, we have a newcomer to the family of KTV2 News. His name is, I have to look at it all the time, Bashar Muhammad. I'm just teasing him because I want to see your reaction. He's a wonderful guy. He's going to talk about the sports and unfortunately nothing about the NFL nor the NBA. Just before that, we have Taslima Rasool. And don't forget, Jamal Ibrahim is going right here to tell us about the reality of the humidity in the state of Kuwait. Stick around.
يوديني بسالفة هذا.
While the global shares bounce. And Kuwait Credit Bank affirms the total real estate loans and grants reaches $41 million in September. Borsa Kuwait ended the first weekly session with its main indices in green, while the global shares bounced in volatile trading during the weekend with debate over the timing of future interest rate rises on both sides of the Atlantic intensified by Eurozone inflation jumping to a 13-year high. Earlier in the week, the global shares suffered their worst rout since January with major US and European indices feeling the heat. The S&P 500 had its worst month since the onset of the pandemic in September, reflecting concerns about COVID-19 inflation fears and budget wrangling in Washington. Meanwhile, the MSCI's gauge of stock across the globe gained 0.45%, and the European Stoxx 600 index fell by 0.4%. Kuwait Credit Bank announced today that the total real estate loans and grants provided to Kuwaiti citizens amounted to 41 million Kuwaiti dinars during the month of September. The bank said in a monthly statistic for the last September that the loans disbursed for building on private lands amounted to 1.8 million dinars, while loans disbursed for public building lands amounted to 30 million dinars. The bank added that the loans disbursed for purchasing homes amounted to 5.9 million dinars, and the loans disbursed for expanding and restoring public houses amounted to 879,800 dinars, while the grants provided for people with special needs reached 2.1 million dinar. Kuwait Fund for Arab Economic Development, KFAED, signed a $1.9 million US agreement with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees to develop a health project for Syrian refugees in Jordan. In a press statement, KFAED Director General Marwan Al-Ghanim said the agreement aims to provide health services to Syrian refugees in Jordan by developing primary healthcare services. On her part, the representative of the High Commissioner for Syrian Refugees in Kuwait, Nasreen Bourbian, noted that the project includes providing primary health care to about 28,113 patients from Zatari camp and about 52,314 from Azraq camp, as well as following up on all coronavirus cases. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said the country's vehicle fuel shortages were being driven by demand and called on motorists to return to normal buying habits. His remarks came as the military tanker drivers will be deployed tomorrow to deliver fuel after a chaotic week of shortages that has resulted in a panic buying and some drivers hoarding petrol in water bottles. Yusuf Salim has more in the following report.
After a weekend of petrol and diesel panic buying in the United Kingdom that led to traffic gridlock around gas stations, the British government insisted that it had a grip on the situation and that normality would soon return. But for many, the situation doesn't look like so. The Petrol Retailers Association says that almost 30% of the stations they represent are dry, with no petrol or diesel left to sell, noting that the level of petrol in London is less than 20% of normal supply. Part of the reason that resulted in this situation was the fear of a shortage of truck drivers, which led to a rush on petrol pumps, draining supplies within a number of hours. Meanwhile, British Prime Minister Boris Johnson said the country's vehicle fuel shortages were being driven by demand and called on motorists to return to normal buying habits. Johnson said the situation is stabilizing. The government has introduced a special visa for foreign drivers and is trying to unblock the backlog of 40,000 truck license applications.
Up next, Bashar Mohammed brings us the latest in sports. Stay tuned.
Barcelona drop another 3 points in the La Liga following last night's loss against Atletico Madrid. Chelsea defeat 10-man Southampton in the Premier League by 3-1. Good evening and welcome to the sports news. Reigning champions Atletico Madrid were level with Real Madrid at the top of the La Liga and inflicted further damage on Ronald Koeman's struggling Barcelona with a deserved win in Spain's capital. Huda Ma'arifi brings you more in this report.
Barcelona coach Ronald Koeman expressed appreciation to the club president Juan Laporta for publicly giving him a vote of confidence, but it was another difficult day for the Catalan club as they lost 2-0 to Atletico Madrid. Laporta said that Koeman deserved time to change the club's fortunes around after a stuttering start to the season. However, Koeman acknowledged that things needed to change with Barca, having won just one of their last 6 games in all competitions. During the edgy match, Thomas Lemar scored the opener, finishing well at the end of a move involving João Felix and Luis Suarez. Suarez then slotted in against his former club to put Atletico in charge, while Antoine Griezmann also featured against his former club as a late substitute as Atletico basked in their superiority. With all the trouble surrounding Barca this season, they sit bottom of the Champions League group with 2 defeats from 2 games and are 9th in La Liga, 5 points behind table toppers Real Madrid. The Catalans host Valencia and then Real Madrid in La Liga after the upcoming international break, with Dinamo Kiev in the Champions League sandwiched in between those 2 fixtures. This is Huda Ma'arafi for KTV News.
Following back-to-back defeats to Manchester City and Juventus, Chelsea were back to their winning ways in the Premier League, beating Southampton 3-1 at Stamford Bridge. Trevor Chabola opened the scoring for Chelsea in the 9th minute with a flick shot from a corner. Southampton's James Ward-Prowse equalized from a penalty but was sent off shortly after for a VAR-checked foul on Jorginho. With only 5 minutes left of regular time, Timo Werner and Ben Chilwell scored 2 goals to secure 3 points and move to the top of the